The silver ships of the Taik Empire appeared without warning, sliding into Earth's atmosphere on a quiet Tuesday morning. They hovered above major cities worldwide, massive dark shadows blocking the sun. People stopped in the streets, cars pulled over on highways, and the world collectively held its breath. In New York, the United Nations emergency session convened within hours. Ambassador Day Park, a man known for his unflappable calm during 30 years of diplomatic service, felt sweat beading on his forehead as he approached the podium. The chamber fell silent. 3 hours ago I spoke with their representative, he began, his voice steady despite everything. They call themselves the Taik Empire. They control over 1,000 inhabited worlds across our galaxy. Murmurs filled the room. Day waited for them to subside. Their message was simple. Earth is now considered a protectorate of their empire. We have 7 days to formalize our surrender, after which they will install a governor to oversee our integration. The chamber erupted. Some representatives shouted for immediate military action. Others called for peaceful acceptance of what seemed inevitable. Through the chaos, Day noticed the Russian representative making a slashing motion across her throat, their predetermined signal that the secure bunker was ready. 12 hours later, military leaders and top scientists from 27 nations gathered in a facility 300 feet beneath the Swiss Alps. General Kim, head of the United Earth Defense Force, stood before digital displays showing the alien ships positioned around the world. Conventional weapons will be useless, she stated bluntly. Their shields absorb energy attacks and their hulls are made of materials we cannot analyze, let alone penetrate. Dr. Lee stepped forward, dark circles under his eyes betraying his sleepless night. He placed a twisted piece of metal on the table. This is from one of their scout ships that crashed in Mongolia last month. We kept it quiet to avoid panic. The technology is beyond anything we've developed, but not beyond our understanding. He tapped a tablet and holographic schematics appeared above the table. Their communication systems are incredibly advanced but follow principles we recognize. More importantly, they're overconfident. The crash happened because they never expected resistance. They've conquered so many worlds that they've grown careless. General Kim nodded. So direct confrontation is suicide. But Dr. Lee believes there might be another way. Protocol Phoenix, Dr. Lee said softly. The room grew quiet. Protocol Phoenix was a theoretical last resort strategy developed years ago for the nightmare scenario of overwhelming hostile contact. It had never been intended for actual implementation. You can't be serious, said the British general. That would require complete apparent surrender, General Kim finished for him. While secretly preparing a different kind of war, not one of direct conflict, but of infiltration, sabotage, and eventual synchronized revolt. Dai studied the faces around the table. Fear, determination, disbelief, but no one offered a better alternative. The Taik Empire spans 1,000 worlds, Dr. Lee continued. That's their strength, but also potentially their weakness. No empire that size can maintain control without extensive automated systems, predictable protocols, and most importantly, the belief that they are invincible. A young intelligence officer named Ji Ho cleared his throat. We recovered partial star maps from the crashed ship. Their empire has dozens of subjugated species. What if we're not the only ones who want freedom? The room grew quiet as the implications sank in. They expect us to either surrender completely or attempt direct resistance, General Kim said. They don't know humans very well. Outside the bunker, across the planet, alien ships continued their silent watch. In Hong Kong, a young mother named Sue pointed at the ships, explaining to her wide-eyed son that the strange visitors weren't leaving anytime soon. In Rio, surfers paddled out despite the ominous shadow above the beach. In Cairo, street vendors continued selling their wares, now including hastily made alien ship souvenirs. 7 days later, Ambassador Day Park stood before the Taik representative, a tall, pale figure with eyes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Earth accepts the inevitable, Day said, bowing his head in practiced humility. We welcome the guidance of the Taik Empire and will comply with all reasonable demands. The alien's mouth formed what might have been a smile. Wise choice. Your species shows unexpected intelligence. The transition will be smoother this way. What the alien couldn't see was the small device hidden in Day's watch, recording every detail of the encounter, from the subtle harmonics of the alien's speech to the faint electromagnetic signature of the technology woven into its clothing. That night, as the first Imperial shuttles delivered advance teams to establish Earth's new government, Dr. Lee received the recordings in his hidden laboratory. He smiled as his computers began breaking down the alien's biological and technological signatures. Protocol Phoenix is now active, he whispered to General Kim over their encrypted channel. Phase 1 complete. Across Earth, humans appeared, to accept their new reality with resignation. But beneath the surface of compliance, something else was taking shape, something the Tyche Empire, with all its power and ancient history, had never encountered before. 3 months after the arrival of the Tyche Empire, Earth appeared to have accepted its new reality. Imperial banners hung from government buildings and alien administrators walked city streets with the confidence of conquerors. But appearances can be deceiving. Admiral June Song removed her formal uniform jacket, the one with the Tyche Empire insignia, and hung it carefully on a hook before descending into what had once been a subway maintenance tunnel beneath Seoul. The retinal scanner hidden behind a loose panel confirmed her identity, and a section of wall slid open. "You're late," said a voice from the dimly lit command center. "The new governor enjoys long-winded speeches," June replied, taking her seat at the central table. "He spent 2 hours explaining why we should be grateful for their guidance." Around the table sat the core of Earth's resistance, 12 men and women who maintained perfect cover lives above ground while coordinating the most ambitious resistance movement in human history. "How many of our people were taken for the labor ships this week?" asked Colonel Hyun, their logistics expert. June's face darkened. 3,000, supposedly for specialized training on their agricultural worlds. "We need to accelerate the timeline," said Dr. Bin, pushing his glasses up his nose. "Every week they become more entrenched." The wall screen activated, showing a global map with hundreds of blinking lights, each representing a resistance cell. What had begun as isolated pockets of defiance had grown into a synchronized network spanning every continent. "Show me what you've got," June said to the youngest person in the room. Hana, only 26 and formerly one of South Korea's most brilliant computer engineers, pulled up schematics on the main screen. "Their communication network is fascinating. Every ship, every outpost, every piece of their technology is connected through what they call the Imperial Mesh. It's how they control an empire spanning thousands of light years." "And you can break into it?" Colonel Hyun asked skeptically. Hana smiled. "I already have. Small intrusions only. Nothing they'd notice. Their security is advanced but predictable. They've never encountered serious resistance in over 600 years. They rely on protocols that haven't been updated in generations." She held up a small device no larger than a coin. "This can piggyback on their signals. Once planted on any Imperial terminal, it gives us access to their local networks." "How many do we have?" June asked. 500 so far. We're manufacturing more every day in the hidden facilities." June nodded approvingly. "The Take believe humans are simple creatures. Their arrogance will be their downfall." A messenger entered, the room breathing hard. "Admiral, we've received word from the lunar outpost. The Imperial mining operation hit the hidden bunker on the far side. Our people had to evacuate." The room fell silent. The lunar resistance base had been one of their earliest installations. "Casualties?" June asked quietly. "None. They triggered the collapse protocol. The Imperials think it was just an unstable cavern, but we lost equipment and 3 months of work." June closed her eyes briefly. "Redirect the manufacturing teams from Buenos Aires to fill the gap. We can't lose momentum." On the other side of the planet, in a basement workshop beneath the ruins of what had once been downtown Detroit, Chief Engineer Min worked with a team of former auto workers to assemble devices that looked like standard Imperial translator modules. In reality, each contained Hana's hacking technology. "Careful with the connections," Min instructed a new recruit. "If the power signature isn't exactly right, Their scanners will detect the difference. The door opened and everyone tensed until they recognized the supply coordinator. New shipment from the Chicago labs, he announced, setting down a crate of components salvaged from Imperial trash. The aliens' wasteful habits had become one of the Resistance's greatest resources. They routinely discarded technology that was slightly outdated but still perfectly functional. Any news from the SOR off-world teams? Min asked as they unpacked the supplies. Commander Tay's group successfully reached the Tyke homeworld. They're establishing cover identities now. Above them, a convoy of Imperial transports rumbled past, their engines vibrating dust from the ceiling. No one flinched. They'd grown used to the constant reminder of occupation. Meanwhile, in a high-rise apartment overlooking what had once been called Times Square, now Imperial Plaza 6, Governor Sun reviewed productivity reports from Earth's industrial zones. Something wasn't adding up. Resource allocation shows we're extracting sufficient rare Earth elements, he muttered to his aide. But the shipments arriving at the processing centers are consistently 5% below projections. Perhaps the humans are simply inefficient workers, the aide suggested. They're a primitive species. Governor Sun was not convinced. Increase surveillance on all mining operations, and double the security checks on shipments. Something isn't right. His suspicions might have caused serious problems for the Resistance, if not for Dr. Jin, who had infiltrated the Imperial Health Ministry. That evening, she uploaded her latest creation to the Empire's monitoring systems, a subtle virus that created phantom data to cover the Resistance's tracks. They're beginning to suspect, she warned Admiral June over their secure channel. We need to accelerate the timeline. How soon can your team be ready? June asked. Dr. Jin looked at the countdown clock on her wall, a seemingly innocent decoration, showing days until an upcoming Imperial celebration. 6 weeks. No sooner without risking detection. Make it 4, June ordered. The labor ships took another 3,000 people yesterday. We're running out of time. As darkness fell over Earth's cities, Imperial patrols enforced the mandatory curfew while Resistance members worked in hidden spaces, from underground bunkers to abandoned subway tunnels, from isolated mountain cabins to secret rooms behind factory walls. Humans refused to accept their fate as just another conquered world in the Tyke Empire. In her small apartment, Hana worked through the night, mapping vulnerabilities in the Imperial network. Her eyes burned from exhaustion, but she kept going, driven by memories of her parents who had been taken on the first labor ships. We're coming for you, she whispered to their photograph. All of you. The Empire just doesn't know it yet. The grand halls of the Imperial Palace on Tyke Prime gleamed with polished stone that seemed to absorb and reflect light simultaneously. Commander Tay kept his eyes downcast as he moved efficiently through the corridor, pushing a cart of cleaning supplies. His Imperial servant uniform, gray and unremarkable, rendered him nearly invisible to the tall, pale Tyke officials who passed by without a glance. 6 months of deep cover work had taught Tay exactly how to move, how to breathe, even how to make himself forgettable in the eyes of the conquerors. As he cleaned the floors outside the Grand Strategy Chamber, his enhanced hearing implant, disguised as a standard servant's translator, recorded every word spoken inside. The Earth. Integration proceeds according to schedule, a voice announced. Though there have been minor discrepancies in resource collection, irrelevant, replied a deeper voice that Tay recognized as belonging to High Commander Kell, the Emperor's chief military advisor. Earth is merely one world among thousands. Their resources are useful but not critical. And the Resistance rumors? Dismissive sound. Every world has its malcontents. They will be identified and removed as always. Tay allowed himself a small smile as he moved on, having collected exactly what he needed. The Empire didn't consider Earth important enough to warrant special attention. Their arrogance would be their undoing. Later that night, in a small apartment in the servants' district of the capital city, Tay removed a hidden panel in his wall and retrieved a communication device unlike anything that Tyke had ever seen. Dr. Lee and Hana had created it specifically for the off-world mission. It piggybacked on the Imperial mesh but remained undetectable by disguising its signals. As system background noise, eagle to nest, he transmitted. Weekly report follows. Thousands of light years away, in the underground command center on Earth, Admiral June received the transmission. Commander Tay has confirmed it, she told the assembled resistance leaders. Earth is considered a minor acquisition. They've thinned their occupation forces to deal with problems in the Orion sector. Perfect timing, Dr. Jin said. My sources in the Imperial Health Ministry say they're planning to increase the labor drafts. They're preparing to take 50,000 more people next month. Faces around the table hardened with resolve. What had started as a desperate plan had evolved into a coordinated global movement. Hidden manufacturing facilities produced the specialized technology designed by Earth's best minds. Training centers disguised as Imperial work camps prepared fighters and infiltrators. And most importantly, communication had been established with resistance movements on 12 other subjugated worlds. We're not the first to fall to the Tyche, Commander Tai had told a secret gathering of alien resistance leaders 3 weeks earlier. But we will be the last. The Gravna, tentacled beings from a heavy gravity world, had been under Imperial rule for 3 centuries. The Elshir, a species of empathic humanoids, had fallen only decades before Earth. Each conquered species had adapted, survived, and harbored quiet resentment, but none had ever attempted what humanity was now proposing. On Earth, Imperial Governor Sun paced his office overlooking what had once been called London. Something was wrong. The data showed resources flowing, labor camps producing, and the population complying with Imperial edicts. Yet his instincts, honed over a career of planetary administration, told him otherwise. Increase surveillance by 30%, he ordered his security chief, and I want random inspections of all major production facilities. Yes, Governor, though Central Command has denied your request for additional security forces. They say Earth is, stable. Governor Sun's pale features twisted in frustration. They don't see what I see. These humans, they smile too easily when faced with Imperial officers. That is not the behavior of a truly subjugated species. The security chief looked uncomfortable. With respect, Governor, humans have shown no capacity for effective resistance. Their military was dismantled within days of our arrival. Their leaders cooperate fully. Perhaps, Sun conceded. Nevertheless, proceed with the increased surveillance. This conversation, like all in the governor's office, was recorded by devices, hidden by resistance infiltrators months earlier. Within hours, the resistance knew about the planned inspections. In a hidden facility beneath Beijing, Dr. Jin worked frantically to refine her latest creation, a specialized virus designed to infect the Imperial monitoring systems. They're beginning to suspect, she warned Admiral June over their secure channel. If these inspections proceed as planned, they'll discover at least 3 of our manufacturing centers. June's holographic image flickered slightly. How soon? Can you deploy the countermeasures? The virus is ready, but inserting it into their primary systems will be tricky. I need access to their central monitoring hub. That's in the heavily guarded Imperial Center in Sydney, June reminded her. I know. I'll need a team. 2 days later, in what appeared to be a routine maintenance visit, Dr. Jin and 3 other resistance members entered the Imperial Monitoring Center. While her companions distracted the guards with a convincingly malfunctioning climate control system, Jin connected a small device to the main terminal. Please hurry, urged the nervous technician who had smuggled them inside. A young man, whose family had been taken to the labor camps months earlier. Almost there, Jin murmured, watching as the upload bar on her hidden screen filled agonizingly slowly. At 98%, a door slid open and an Imperial officer walked in. The officer glanced at Jin, and for a terrible moment, she thought everything was lost. Then he simply nodded and continued to another terminal. The upload completed. Jin disconnected her device and calmly packed up her tools. That night, as Governor Sun reviewed the surveillance footage from suspected resistance areas, his screens showed nothing but ordinary humans going about their Imperial-approved activities. The virus had worked perfectly, creating false images that matched exactly what the Empire expected to see. Nothing unusual to report, Governor, his security chief announced with poorly hidden satisfaction. Sun frowned. Continue monitoring, and prepare for the labor selection next week. I want 50,000 of their strongest workers. What he couldn't know was that those 50,000 had already been hidden in underground facilities, replaced in Imperial records by people who didn't exist. Across Earth, in hidden places and ordinary homes, humans prepared. In the factories, supposedly producing Imperial equipment, specialty weapons were assembled alongside decoy products. In homes at night, parents trained children how to recognize resistance signals. In orbit, human workers on Imperial stations quietly repositioned satellites to create blind spots in their surveillance network. And across the stars, on 12 other worlds, other species watched and waited for humanity's signal. "We need to accelerate the timeline," Admiral June told her commanders. "The window won't stay open forever." The day of rebellion was coming. The room was silent except for the soft clicking of keys as Mina worked. Just 19 years old, she had been a computer science student when the take arrived. Now she sat at the heart of humanity's most ambitious operation, surrounded by screens displaying network architectures that spanned 1,000 worlds. "How much longer?" Admiral June asked, her voice tight with tension. 3 minutes to synchronization," Mina replied without looking up. Her fingers danced across the interface, making final adjustments to the code that would soon race through the Imperial mesh. All teams are in position. Around them, the command center hummed with activity. After 18 months of occupation, after countless lives lost to labor ships and Imperial pacification, the day had finally arrived. Operation Stormbreak was about to begin. Admiral June opened a secure channel to all resistance cells. "This is June. Commence final preparations. May fortune favor the brave." Across Earth, hidden resistance fighters moved into position. Some wore the gray uniforms of Imperial service workers, others the plain clothes of ordinary civilians. All carried devices created in secret factories, weapons and tools unlike anything the Empire had faced before. In orbit, human workers on Imperial stations waited for the signal, hands hovering near critical systems. In the Imperial Center in former New Delhi, Governor Sun reviewed resource reports, unaware that his security systems now showed only what the Resistance wanted him to see. And across the stars, on the Tyche homeworld itself, Commander Tai gathered, with representatives from 12 other subjugated species in a hidden chamber beneath the capital city. "The humans are certain this will work?" asked Krell, a tall, slender being whose people had suffered under Imperial rule for generations. "They are," Tai replied. "And even if it doesn't work perfectly, today the Empire learns they don't own the stars." Mina's countdown reached 0. "Initiating now," she announced, pressing a single key. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then one by one the screens around them lit up green as confirmation signals came in from across Earth and beyond. "It's working," Dr. Jin whispered, watching as the specialized virus invaded the Imperial networks. Unlike conventional malware, this creation didn't destroy or corrupt. It temporarily seized control, redirecting systems while remaining undetected. Across the Empire, on planet after planet, Imperial defense systems suddenly went offline for scheduled maintenance. Communication. Networks experienced technical difficulties, and most importantly, the labor camps and detention centers found their automated security protocols mysteriously deactivated. On a mining world 700 light-years from Earth, confused Imperial guards discovered their weapons wouldn't fire, as thousands of laborers, humans and aliens alike, rose up against their captors. Similar scenes played out across dozens of worlds as carefully planted resistance members revealed hidden weapon caches to formerly passive populations. In the Imperial Palace on Take Prime, Emperor Vox received increasingly frantic reports from across his domain. "What do you mean simultaneous malfunctions?" he demanded of his chief technologist. "That's impossible." "System diagnostics show no intrusion, Your Radiance," the technologist replied, his pale skin even whiter with fear. Yet somehow, things are failing everywhere at once. Commander Tay and his multi-species alliance were already moving through the palace's lower levels, disabling guards with weapons specifically designed to penetrate Imperial armor at close range. The palace security systems, compromised by Mina's virus, showed all corridors clear. Back on Earth, Admiral June watched as reports flooded in from around the world. Imperial outposts were being overwhelmed by coordinated resistance attacks. The aliens' superior technology, neutralized by the virus and humanity's careful planning, offered little protection against the fury of 18 months of oppression. Imperial ships are mobilizing in orbit, Colonel Hune reported. They're preparing to bombard resistance strongholds. June nodded calmly. Right on schedule. Activate Protocol Mirage. Across Earth's major cities, sophisticated holographic projectors, built from modified Imperial technology, created perfect illusions of normal human activity. Meanwhile, millions of people were already moving into the vast underground shelters constructed in secret during the occupation. Governor Sun, realizing too late the extent of the rebellion, sent an urgent message to the Imperial fleet. The humans have gone mad. Burn their cities to ash. Make an example of this world. In orbit, Imperial gunners targeted Earth's population centers and fired. Massive energy beams lanced down from the heavens, turning buildings to slag and streets to glass. The fleet commander watched with satisfaction as city after city was engulfed in flame. What he couldn't see were the empty buildings and holographic people disappearing in that fire. The real population of Earth waited in underground bunkers, protected by layers of materials specifically designed to block Imperial scans. On the Tyche homeworld, Emperor Vox addressed his empire via the emergency broadcast system. "The rebellion on Earth has been crushed," he announced, unaware that Commander Tay's forces were already outside his throne room. "Let this be a lesson to any who would defy Imperial rule." His broadcast was interrupted when the throne room doors burst open. Commander Tay entered, flanked by representatives of a dozen species. "The rebellion has not been crushed, Emperor," Tay said calmly. "It has barely begun." At that exact moment, Admiral June's face appeared on communication screens across the 1,000 worlds of the Tyche Empire, including the one in the throne room itself. "This is Admiral June Song of Earth," she announced. "Your emperor has fallen. Your capital is in the hands of the Alliance of Free Worlds, and Earth, which your fleet believes it has destroyed, still stands." The broadcast switched to live, footage of humans emerging from shelters to watch Imperial ships retreating from Earth orbit, pursued by vessels that had once belonged to the Empire, but now flew the new Alliance flag. "You believed you destroyed us," June continued, "but Earth refused to kneel, and now the Empire's worlds blaze not with destruction, but with the fire of freedom." Emperor Vox sank to his knees as the transmission ended, looking up at Commander Tay with incomprehension. "How?" he asked simply. "How could one primitive world accomplish this?" Tay smiled grimly. "You should have studied our history more carefully. Humans have been resisting tyrants since before we left our caves. You never had a chance." Across the stars, on world after world, peoples who had lived under Imperial domination for generations looked up at skies suddenly free of fear. The long night of the Tyche Empire was ending, and a new dawn was about to begin. Sunlight broke through the dust clouds over what had once been Shanghai, casting golden beams across the ruins. 3 weeks had passed since the Imperial fleet had scorched Earth's surface, believing they were crushing humanity's resistance. 3 weeks since the fall of an empire that had controlled 1,000 worlds for over 6 centuries. Jun walked carefully through the debris-strewn street, testing each step. The ground was still hot in places where Imperial energy weapons had turned concrete to glass. His environmental suit's sensors chirped warnings, but the radiation levels were dropping faster than expected. That was good news. Dr. Jin's calculations about the Imperial weapons had been correct. "Command Center reports this sector is clear for preliminary reconstruction," his partner Sue announced through the suit's comm system. "We can begin bringing people up tomorrow." Jun nodded, taking samples of soil and air. Earth had been hurt, badly hurt, but not destroyed, just like its people. "I still can't believe it worked," Sue said, her voice quiet with wonder. "That we're actually free." Neither of them had slept much since the day of rebellion. There, was too much to do. Helping millions emerge from underground shelters, assessing damage, beginning the enormous task of rebuilding. But underneath the exhaustion ran a current of fierce joy that June had never experienced before. It worked because they never really understood us, June replied, looking up at the sky where Imperial ships had once loomed. Now that same sky hosted vessels from a dozen worlds, allies coming to help Earth recover from its wounds. Across the planet, similar scenes played out as assessment teams tested whether areas were safe for return. In the former Rio de Janeiro, children cheered as they emerged from underground complexes to see sunlight for the first time in weeks. In what had been Nairobi, engineers deployed atmospheric scrubbers to clear lingering toxins from the air. Half a world away, in the underground command center that had served as resistance headquarters for 18 months, Admiral June Song prepared for the most important broadcast of her life. She studied her reflection in a small mirror, noting the new streaks of gray in her hair, the lines of exhaustion etched around her eyes. Small prices to pay for victory. "We're ready when you are, Admiral," her communications officer said. June smoothed her uniform, no longer bearing the hated Imperial insignia, and stepped before the camera. Billions across thousands of worlds would watch this transmission. Former Imperial subjects, now free peoples, allies who had fought alongside humanity, and her own people emerging from their shelters to rebuild their scorched world. "People of Earth and friends across the stars," she began when the light turned green. "Today marks 3 weeks since the fall of the Tyche Empire. 3 weeks of freedom after centuries of tyranny for many worlds, after 18 months of occupation for Earth." The camera followed as she walked to a large table displaying a holographic map of Earth, showing damage assessments in red and recovery zones in green. "We have paid a heavy price. Our cities lie in ruins. Our soil is scorched. The task of rebuilding will take years, perhaps decades. But we are alive, and we are free." She gestured, and the hologram changed to show the former Imperial territories, now the newly formed Alliance of Free Worlds. Already ships arrive daily from worlds once crushed under the same boot that tried to crush us. They bring supplies, technology, and hands willing to help us rebuild, just as our resistance helped them win their freedom. On the Take homeworld, in what had once been the Imperial Palace's grand audience chamber, Commander Tay watched June's broadcast alongside representatives from 13 formerly subjugated species. The room that had once showcased the Emperor's power now served as the headquarters for the Transitional Council, the governing body guiding former Imperial worlds toward self-determination. "The humans are natural coalition builders," observed Krell, the tall representative of the Malkan people. "A useful trait. They understand cooperation because of their history," Tay replied. "Thousands of years of wars taught them the value of peace. Centuries of tyranny taught them the price of freedom." In a secure facility nearby, former Emperor Vox sat in comfortable but inescapable confinement. Guards reported that he spent hours watching the broadcast from across his former domain, his expression one of lingering disbelief. Tay had visited him once, seeking not vengeance, but understanding. "How could you not see it coming?" he had asked the fallen emperor. Vox had looked at him with genuine confusion. "You were just one world among thousands, primitive, new to space travel. How could you possibly matter, back on Earth?" Admiral June concluded her broadcast with words that would be remembered for generations. "We do not seek vengeance against those who sought to enslave us. Instead, we offer partnership to build something never before seen in this part of the galaxy, a true community of worlds where all peoples determine their own destiny." The camera panned to show a diverse group standing behind her, humans alongside representatives from other worlds, united in purpose. "Earth refused to kneel," she said, her voice strong and clear. "The Empire's worlds blazed not with destruction, but with the light of freedom. And now together we will build something better from the ashes." As the broadcast ended, June allowed herself a moment of reflection. She thought of all they had lost, the cities reduced to rubble, the farmlands that would take years to recover, the lives sacrificed in the struggle. But she also thought of what they had gained, not just freedom but a place among the stars, friends across thousands of light years, and a future limited only by imagination. In what had once been Governor Sun's office in London, now serving as Earth's diplomatic center, young Mina, the hacker whose code had helped bring down an empire, worked alongside technicians from 3 different worlds. Together, they were creating something unprecedented, a communication network that would connect the Alliance planets without the centralized control that had been the Empire's weakness. The key is redundancy with autonomy, Mina explained to her alien colleagues. Each world maintains its own systems but can seamlessly connect to the whole. Like your resistance network, observed a blue-skinned engineer. Separate cells that could function independently but coordinate perfectly when needed. Mina smiled. Exactly. We learned that unity doesn't require uniformity. Outside, reconstruction drones, modified from Imperial designs, cleared debris from streets. Temporary shelters rose where majestic buildings had once stood. Gardens were planted in soil treated to neutralize Imperial weapons residue. Children played in specially designated safe zones, their laughter a defiant answer to those who had tried to silence humanity forever. As evening fell over the recovering Earth, Admiral June left the command center and walked to a hillside overlooking the ruins of Seoul. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. Among the stars just beginning to appear, she could make out the lights of ships in orbit. Allies come to help, traders establishing new routes, scientists eager to share knowledge freely at last. We did it, she whispered to the evening breeze, allowing herself this one private moment of triumph before returning to the endless work of rebuilding. The breeze carried her words away across a planet wounded but undefeated, a planet whose people had faced extinction and emerged victorious, a planet that had shown the galaxy that even the most powerful empire could fall when faced with the unbreakable human spirit. Earth had refused to kneel. And now, it would help lead 1,000 worlds into a new dawn.